This is Daniel Australian. Thanks so much for joining us and welcome to Australia.media. We are living in an age when politics has become theater, economics has become magic, and religion has become ideology. And behind this spectacle, there's a real war, a metaphysical war for the soul of humanity. The West calls it globalization, others call it Dajjal's a world order. But whatever the name, it's a system that claims total control of money, of meaning, as soon of human being himself. And today with Sheikh Imran Hosein, we will speak not about religions or nations, but about the architecture of the end game, the struggle between a collapsing liberal empire and the re-emerging sacred civilizations. Russia, China, Islam, the West are all now moving in the same chessboard. But who writes the rules? Who governs the algorithmic leviathan that defines truth and value? And what remains of humanity when man forgets its divine origin? Sheikh Imran Hosein, it's an honor to have you. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show.
With you today, and I hope and pray that we'll have a productive session.
Yes, sir. Let's talk about civilization in crisis. You've long argued that the modern world is built on rebellion against God, that modernity itself is Dajjalic. And looking at the cultural, the moral, and the demographic collapse of the West, are we now witnessing the self-destruction of that civilization, sir?
Rather than self-destruction, I am of the view that modern Western civilization did not fall from the sky by accident. That modern Western civilization has emerged in consequence of cosmological changes taking place in the world. And that it has a particular mission to perform. And that mission is connected with Jerusalem and connected with Israel. And that's why we've seen modern Western civilization from the time it emerged out of the bowels of Western Christianity after the breakup of the Holy Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire rather, and one part of that empire, one part of Constantinople left and went to Europe. And that was in the year 1054. And within 40 years of the emergence of that breakup, within 40 years, we see Western Christianity behaving in a very strange, unique way. That is, it begins to show a mysterious obsession with the Holy Land and with Jerusalem. And that obsession has lasted from 1054 until now. Within 40 years of the breakup of Constantinople, the Western world launched the Crusades in 1090, 40 years later. And we've seen that obsession with the Holy Land, with Israel, lasting all this time. And so I say that modern Western civilization did not happen by accident. That modern Western civilization came into being in order to fulfill a mission, and that is, number one, to liberate the Holy Land for the Jews. Number two, to bring the Jews back to the Holy Land, to Jerusalem, to reclaim it as their own. 2,000 years after the Lord God had expelled them and placed a ban on them, and they could never return, to reclaim Jerusalem as their own until a certain moment in time arrives. And that moment of time, of course, was the release of Gog and Magog into the world. But that's not a subject that secular scholarship is interested in. And then we see the birth of a state of Israel. Not only were the Jews brought back to Jerusalem to reclaim it as their own after 2,000 years, but a state of Israel is now born in the Holy Land 2,000 years after Holy Israel was destroyed by the Lord God. And now we see that holy state of Israel, or rather unholy state of Israel, because it's a bogus Israel, now flexing its muscles, where previously it was acting clandestinely, committing acts of state-sponsored terrorism, emerging now in full daylight of history as a powerful state in the Middle East and seeking to establish its dominance over all other states around it, including Iran. And modern Western civilization, with Trump now leading it, is still faithfully supporting Israel, even with.
Let me ask you about this. In geopolitical terms, Israel now sits at the center of every global flashpoint, from Gaza to artificial intelligence, defense technology. Is Israel still a geopolitical actor, or has it become a metaphysical instrument, the operational center, so to speak, of a global plan leading towards the final confrontation?
Israel from day one has always been a metaphysical construct. It always had something cosmological attached to it. It was not something that was essentially secular. Israel wants to rule the world. Israel wants Jerusalem to become the center of the world. And when Israel has established Pax Judaica in succession to Pax Americana, which was itself in succession to Pax Britannica, then someone will stand up in Israel and declare, I am the Messiah. But every Muslim and every Christian knows that the Messiah was appointed by the Lord God, and he was Jesus, who is the son of a virgin woman. Only once in history did a virgin woman give birth to a child. It will never happen again. So there'll never be another Jesus, only once. And he is the Messiah. But when someone stands up in Jerusalem and declares, I am the Messiah, he would not be Jesus, the son of Mary. Our eschatology tells us that he will be the Antichrist, or we call him Dajjal, the false Messiah. And when he declares, I am the Messiah, he has fulfilled his mission. Modern Western civilization was created to help him fulfill his mission.
You've said that modern Israel is not merely a political state, but a prophetic sign, the visible manifestation of Dajjal's final stage on earth. Many interpret this as a metaphor, others as a kind of a literal prophecy. So is the emergence of Israel in this exact historical moment the central sign that humanity has entered the final chapter of history? And if so, what follows?
The Quran tells us something that cannot be found anywhere else, in any book, in any person. It speaks about Pharaoh, and Pharaoh's claim that he is God himself. That's what the Western world believes they are today. They are the Lord God themselves, and all of mankind must prostrate before them. They want to rule the world, and we must worship them. And whoever does not worship the West is considered to be a rebel state. So Korea is a rebel state, Iran is a rebel state, Venezuela is a rebel state, China is rebel, Russia is rebel. All those who refuse to bend their knees in submission to worship the West are rebels. This behavior on the part of the Western world is connected with its mission to ensure that Israel will not only be born, that Israel will not only survive all these years, but Israel will grow to become a powerful state, but that Israel will eventually replace the United States as a ruling state in the world. And so, yes, the answer is correct that we now see the end of history. When Pharaoh was drowning underneath the water, something happened. And he realized that he was not God. That one day Washington and London and Paris will also realize that they are not God. And he then declared, before he drowned, he then declared his faith in the God of the Israelite people. And that is what is waiting to occur in the Western world as well. The Quran then said that the Lord God spoke to Pharaoh and said to him, these are his words in the Quran. Oh, now, Pharaoh, now you declare your faith. And before this, you were in arrogant and obstinate rebellion and committing atrocious injustice and oppression on earth. This day, Pharaoh, I, the Lord God, I have decided to preserve your physical body, so that when your physical body is discovered, when it resurfaces in history, it will be a momentous sign for mankind. That is what the Quran says. A momentous sign for a people to come after you. The Quran does not say anything more. The body of Pharaoh was discovered in 1897 or somewhere around there, and the Zionist movement was established at exactly that same time. And so now, what is the sign that the Lord God is speaking about? Because the body has been discovered and it has been positively identified to be the body of that Pharaoh who died by drowning. My eschatological answer, and Allah knows best, is that when the body of Pharaoh is discovered, it will be the sign of the commencement of the last countdown of history. And that history will now repeat itself. That there will be a people who will now live the way Pharaoh lived, arrogant, powerful, godless, decadent, oppressing. This is what you're seeing in Gaza now. That history will now repeat itself. And the events which occurred and culminated with the parting of the Red Sea miraculously, and the people who worship the Lord God being taken to safety, and the oppressors being destroyed by the Lord God, is now going to unfold in the world, particularly in the Holy Land. And so the answer, yes, it's correct. We are now witnessing the last countdown of history. And Israel flexing her muscles as she did recently with her attack on Qatar, saying to the world, well, no, the United States is no longer the boss, the only boss around here. We are now a boss of our own. With the attack on Qatar, we're seeing the beginnings of a Pax Judaica, which will now culminate with history.